Iraq, a nation scarred by decades of war, invasion, and unrest, has just made a decision that could shake the very foundations of the Middle East. In a move sending shockwaves through Washington and Brussels, Iraq has accepted China's offer. But what exactly did China propose? Infrastructure megaprojects? Military partnerships? Oil deals shrouded in secrecy? The truth is more layered, more strategic, and far more dangerous. Because when Iraq opens its doors to China, it's not just a political gesture, it's a statement, a warning, a signal that the global order is shifting and fast. Stay with us, because what happens next could redraw alliances, rewrite history, and reignite dormant rivalries. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because what you're about to hear might just change everything. Now, let's break it down. Why Iraq matters? Iraq's geographical tapestry, woven with threads of ancient rivers and modern borders, positions it as far more than a mere transit point on the map of the Middle East. Sandwiched between the regional powerhouses of Iran and Turkey, and sharing crucial boundaries with Syria and Kuwait, its location is a strategic keystone, unlocking access to vital land routes and holding significant sway over regional dynamics. Beyond its immediate neighbors, Iraq's influence ripples outwards, impacting the broader geopolitical landscape of the Arabian Peninsula and the Eastern Mediterranean. This central positioning has historically made it a coveted territory, a battleground for empires, and now a focal point in the evolving global power struggle. Furthermore, Iraq's subterranean wealth in the form of oil solidifies its critical role in the world's energy architecture. Holding the fifth largest proven reserves, the nation's capacity to pump crude oil directly impacts global supply chains, price fluctuations, and the energy security of numerous nations. This resource endowment has long attracted external interest and intervention, making Iraq a linchpin in the intricate web of international energy politics. Decisions made in Baghdad regarding oil production and export have far-reaching consequences, influencing economic stability and shaping diplomatic relations across continents. The past 2 decades have etched a narrative of Western influence onto Iraq's contemporary history. The United States, in particular, has invested heavily in the nation, from providing military training to Iraqi forces and awarding lucrative reconstruction contracts to championing a nascent, albeit fragile, democratic system. However, this engagement has been punctuated by the deep scars of conflict. The 2003 invasion, a watershed moment, unleashed a cascade of instability, fueling years of brutal insurgency and ultimately contributing to the rise of the Islamic State. This tumultuous period left the Iraqi state profoundly weakened, its social fabric fractured along sectarian lines, and its infrastructure desperately in need of repair. This vulnerability, born from years of conflict and external intervention, created a vacuum, an opportunity that a rising global power was keenly observing. China's offer. A new world order? China's proposition to Iraq transcended the conventional framework of mere financial assistance. It presented itself as a comprehensive pathway towards a revitalized future, meticulously crafted under the overarching umbrella of Beijing's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. This global infrastructure development strategy, spearheaded by China, offered Iraq a tantalizing prospect, an influx of billions of dollars earmarked for transformative infrastructure projects. These investments weren't limited to a single sector, but rather encompassed a wide array of crucial areas, including the construction of modern highways to facilitate trade and connectivity, the development of deep-water ports to enhance maritime commerce, the establishment of state-of-the-art oil refineries to bolster Iraq's energy independence, and the laying of advanced digital connectivity networks to propel the nation into the 21st century. The tangible manifestations of China's commitment are already taking shape on the ground. The China State Construction Engineering Corporation, a behemoth in the global construction industry, has commenced work on a sprawling new international airport near Baghdad, promising to modernize Iraq's air travel infrastructure and boost its capacity to handle international traffic. Simultaneously, Huawei, the telecommunications titan, is actively engaged in laying the groundwork for a nationwide 5G network, a technological leap that could revolutionize communication, commerce, and governance across the country. Each newly laid rail line, each meticulously installed fiber optic cable serves as a tangible link, drawing Iraq further into the intricate and expansive web of China's global vision. This isn't just about building physical infrastructure, it's about forging deep economic and technological dependencies that could reshape Iraq's future trajectory. Yet, the implications of this burgeoning partnership extend far beyond the realm of concrete and cables. Lurking beneath the surface of these seemingly benign economic endeavors is a more profound and strategically significant development, a direct challenge to the long-established supremacy of the United States in the region. China's assertive entry into Iraq's economic sphere represents a calculated move that could potentially realign power dynamics in the Middle East and beyond, signaling a shift in the global order and raising critical questions about the future of international influence. The strategic calculus: what's in it for Iraq? For Iraq, the allure of China's offer extends far beyond the immediate economic benefits. It taps into a deeper, almost existential yearning for stability and a sense of renewed sovereignty. Years of intense Western involvement, while initially intended to foster democracy and security, ultimately left a legacy of infrastructure in disrepair and a significant erosion of public trust. The protracted conflicts and the subsequent rise of extremist groups have left many Iraqis disillusioned with the outcomes of foreign intervention. In this context, China's investments present a stark contrast, arriving with a distinct lack of overt political preconditions. There are no public pronouncements on democratic reforms, no demands for adherence to specific governance models, and crucially, no establishment of permanent military bases on Iraqi soil. Instead, China offers a straightforward proposition: capital, machinery, and the momentum of rapid development. Iraq's current leadership, acutely aware of the complexities of navigating its relationships with both the West and its influential neighbor Iran, perceives China as a potentially valuable balancing force in the region. Beijing's approach is seen as pragmatic and transactional, primarily focused on securing access to Iraq's vital oil resources in exchange for tangible economic benefits. This contrasts sharply with the often complex and politically charged interactions with Western powers. From Baghdad's perspective, China is a partner who primarily seeks oil, rather than imposing demands for political or ideological alignment. Furthermore, the perceived reduction of the United States' military footprint in the Middle East has emboldened Baghdad to explore and cultivate a more diversified portfolio of international alliances. As the U.S. shifts its strategic focus to other global challenges, Iraq finds itself with greater latitude to pursue partnerships that align with its national interests. In this evolving geopolitical landscape, Beijing increasingly appears not as a potential threat or risk, but rather as a viable and perhaps even essential partner in rescuing Iraq from its protracted period of instability and dependence. China's offer therefore resonates deeply with Iraq's desire for economic recovery, regional stability, and a greater degree of autonomy in its foreign policy decisions. The West reacts. Tensions rising. The burgeoning partnership between Iraq and China has triggered a palpable sense of unease and alarm within the corridors of power in Washington. High-ranking U.S. officials have voiced growing concerns, explicitly warning that China's rapidly expanding footprint in Iraq poses a direct and multifaceted threat to long-standing American interests in the region. This pivot by Baghdad is particularly stinging considering the significant investment the United States has made in Iraq over the past 2 decades, billions of dollars poured into reconstruction efforts, thousands of American lives lost in the pursuit of stability, and decades of diplomatic and military engagement aimed at shaping Iraq's trajectory. The prospect of this investment yielding influence for a rival global power is a bitter pill to swallow for Washington. The disquiet extends beyond the United States, with NATO allies also expressing their unease regarding China's growing presence in Iraq. The establishment of a significant Chinese foothold in such a strategically important nation could potentially compromise Western intelligence operations in the region, disrupting established networks and creating new vulnerabilities. Furthermore, the shift in oil trade routes towards China, facilitated by this partnership, could have significant implications for global energy markets and the economic interests of Western nations. Perhaps most concerning is the prospect of Beijing gaining a front-row seat to Middle Eastern diplomacy. potentially allowing it to exert greater influence on regional conflicts and alliances, often at the expense of Western objectives. Behind the closed doors of government buildings and international organizations, urgent meetings are reportedly being convened to assess the implications of this evolving situation and to formulate a coordinated response. Various countermeasures are being considered, ranging from the imposition of targeted sanctions on entities involved in the China-Iraq partnership to the restructuring of existing aid packages aimed at bolstering Western influence. However, there is a growing sense among some observers that the momentum may already be shifting, and that reversing the tide of China's growing influence in Iraq will prove to be a formidable challenge for the West. Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the regional chessboard. Iraq's deepening alignment with China is not an isolated event, but rather a significant move on the complex regional chessboard of the Middle East, carrying substantial implications for other key players. Iran, Iraq's influential neighbor to the east, views China's growing presence in Baghdad as a welcome development, aligning with its own strategic objectives of resisting what it perceives as undue U.S. dominance in the region. Tehran likely hopes that Iraq's embrace of China will contribute to the formation of a broader regional axis of economic independence, potentially weakening the influence of Western powers and fostering greater intra-regional cooperation outside of traditional Western frameworks. Saudi Arabia, a longtime rival of Iran and a key U.S. ally, is observing Iraq's pivot towards China with a mixture of cautious pragmatism and underlying concern. While Riyadh itself has also engaged in increasing economic partnerships with China, particularly in the realms of technology and trade, it harbors anxieties about potentially losing influence in Baghdad, a nation with which it shares a long and complex history. The delicate balance of power in the Gulf region, which has long been underpinned by U.S. military backing and diplomatic engagement, is now showing signs of shifting eastward, and Saudi Arabia will be carefully monitoring these developments to safeguard its own regional interests. Beyond Iran and Saudi Arabia, other significant regional actors such as Israel, Turkey, and Egypt are also in the process of recalculating their strategic positions in light of the evolving dynamics in Iraq. Each of these nations has its own unique set of relationships with the US, China, and Iraq, and the shifting allegiances and economic partnerships will undoubtedly necessitate a reassessment of their foreign policy priorities and regional strategies. In the intricate and often volatile landscape of the Middle East, the movement of one seemingly small piece on the board can trigger a cascade of adjustments, ultimately leading to a significant transformation of the entire strategic landscape. Oil, power, and the petro-yuan. Oil serves as the very lifeblood of Iraq's economy, and this fundamental reality is not lost on China, the world's largest consumer of crude oil. With Iraq currently exporting over 1 million barrels of oil per day directly to China, energy has unequivocally become the cornerstone of this burgeoning strategic partnership. This robust energy trade provides China with a crucial source of supply to fuel its massive economy, while simultaneously offering Iraq a vital revenue stream to finance its reconstruction and development efforts. However, a potentially game-changing twist has emerged within this already significant economic arrangement. China has reportedly expressed its desire to purchase Iraqi oil using its own currency, the yuan, rather than the globally dominant US dollar. Should Iraq agree to this proposition, it would represent a significant blow to the long-standing petrodollar system, a financial architecture that has underpinned U.S. global power for decades. The petrodollar system, established in the 1970s, essentially requires oil-producing nations to sell their oil in U.S. dollars, thereby creating consistent global demand for the American currency. The implications of Iraq potentially accepting yuan for its oil exports are seismic. Such a move could lead to a reduced global demand for the U.S. dollar, potentially weakening American leverage in international financial markets and eroding one of the key pillars of its economic dominance. Conversely, it would further elevate the status and influence of the Chinese yuan on the global stage, potentially paving the way for its wider adoption in international trade and finance, backed by the tangible asset of oil. This isn't merely an economic arrangement, it represents a potential act of financial warfare, a strategic maneuver that could have profound consequences for the global balance of economic power. A digital Silk Road through Baghdad. beneath the tangible infrastructure of roads and pipelines being constructed by China in Iraq lies another, perhaps even more consequential layer: the infrastructure of digital control. With the telecommunications giant Huawei taking a leading role, Iraq is embarking on an ambitious project to build smart cities, implement advanced surveillance systems, and establish secure nationwide digital networks. This initiative, often referred to as the Digital Silk Road, promises to bring modern technological advancements to Iraq, potentially improving public services, enhancing security, and fostering greater connectivity for its citizens. However, this digital transformation also carries inherent risks. While these technologies may offer Iraq significant benefits, they simultaneously open the door to potential Chinese data access, increased cyber influence, and the possibility of intelligence dominance. The very systems designed to enhance security could also be used for surveillance and control, raising concerns about privacy and civil liberties. The United States has already placed Huawei on a blacklist due to its perceived close ties to the Chinese government and concerns over potential espionage. Now, with Iraq actively integrating Huawei's technologies into its critical infrastructure, these concerns over national sovereignty and the potential for foreign interference are growing louder among Western powers and within segments of Iraqi society. The long-term implications of this digital partnership for Iraq's autonomy and its relationship with the wider world remain a significant point of contention and scrutiny. Military implications. A future base for the PLA? Officially, China has consistently maintained that its engagement in Iraq is purely economic, devoid of any military ambitions. However, beneath this official stance, the possibility of future military implications looms as a significant concern for the United States and its allies. As China's economic investments in Iraq continue to grow exponentially, so too does the perceived need to ensure the security and protection of these assets. This rationale, the safeguarding of economic interests, is the very same justification that China employed when establishing its first overseas military base in Djibouti, strategically located at the Horn of Africa. The question then arises, could Iraq be the next location for a Chinese military outpost? Even the establishment of a modest Chinese military presence within Iraq would represent a profound paradigm shift in the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. It would mark the first time that China has established a military foothold in such a strategically crucial region, placing it within striking distance of key U.S. allies and vital American interests. What begins as seemingly benign economic assistance and infrastructure development could, over time, evolve into a more entrenched military presence, potentially altering the regional balance of power and creating new security challenges for the United States and its partners. This potential for military entanglement underscores the high stakes involved in China's growing influence in Iraq. Internal fractures, Iraq's divided reaction. China's growing embrace by the Iraqi government has not been met with universal approval within Iraq itself. Deep internal fractures exist, with various segments of Iraqi society expressing a range of concerns and reservations about this burgeoning partnership. Civil society groups, often wary of any dominant foreign power, fear that China's primary interest lies in exploiting Iraq's vast natural resources, potentially mirroring historical patterns of external exploitation. Technology activists have raised alarms about the potential for digital authoritarianism, given China's track record in surveillance and censorship, and worry that the Digital Silk Road could be used to suppress dissent and curtail freedoms. Furthermore, political factions within Iraq, particularly those with long-standing pro-American leanings, are actively pushing back against what they perceive as an over-reliance on China, advocating for a more balanced foreign policy approach. However, there is also a significant segment of the Iraqi population that views China's engagement with a sense of cautious optimism, if not outright enthusiasm. With pressing domestic challenges such as youth unemployment rates exceeding 25%, decaying public hospitals struggling to meet the needs of the population, and persistent power outages disrupting daily life, many Iraqis are desperate for a semblance of stability and tangible improvements in their living conditions. China's promise of large-scale investment and rapid infrastructure development resonates strongly with these aspirations. For many ordinary Iraqis, Beijing appears to offer a pragmatic solution to their immediate needs, unburdened by the political complexities and perceived failures of past Western interventions. This internal tension between those who welcome China and those who harbor reservations creates a volatile domestic environment, and any significant unrest within Iraq, historically, has rarely remained confined within its borders, often spilling over to impact the wider region. What happens next? The answer is far from simple. If Iraq deepens its ties with China, we may witness a realignment not seen since the Cold War. The Middle East, long dominated by Western power, could become a new frontier of Sino-influence. US sanctions could tighten, cyber warfare could intensify, proxy conflicts could escalate, and Iraq, once a battleground for ideology and oil, could become the epicenter of a new global rivalry. And as the world watches this partnership evolve, one question remains: is this Iraq's redemption or the beginning of another storm? Iraq's decision to accept China's offer is not just a choice, it's a message that the balance of power is shifting, that old alliances are being tested, that history is being rewritten. As new empires rise and old ones falter, we stand at the edge of a geopolitical transformation. What happens next depends on how the world responds. Thank you for watching. If you found this analysis insightful and thought-provoking, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment with your opinions, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth coverage of critical global events. Your engagement helps us bring you more content like this. The future is unfolding before our eyes. Stay informed. Stay vigilant.